And we are officially live. Hey everybody, my name is Wes.
My name is Matt.
And you're joining us for our church app, Bootcamp.
Bootcamp.
It's funny, Matt, because we had to change the name of this. Originally it was the Masterclass.
Yeah.
But for some reason, all the email providers just didn't like that. And so at the last minute, we had to change the name to Bootcamp.
I think it's because we're not Masterclass company.
Probably.
So they're probably like, that's not real.
So I'm so glad you all could join us today. We have so much to cover. Obviously, if you are watching on YouTube, we're not going to be monitoring the chat or on Facebook. And we do not have a chat open here in Vimeo because we're going to have a dedicated time of Q&A after we get through all the things in this boot camp to get you strong, church app strong. And we have so much to cover today, Matt. But before we dive into all the things, probably just need to remind everybody, first and foremost, if you're like me, you like to learn how to do things by watching videos, check out our YouTube channel. It's where this is being streamed right now as we speak, and all of our other videos for all the other great things. And Matt, tell them about our Facebook group.
We also have a community of other users in ChurchTrac. That it's a private group in Facebook that we would love for you to join so that you can be a part of just a worldwide. I mean, there's thousands of people in that group that would love to answer your questions and just be a part of a really cool community there. So make sure to request to join there.
And then last but not least, anytime you're using the software, all you have to do is click that help button in the top corner of your screen. You can't miss it when you're logged into the application. And it gives you the ability to reach out to our support team, or you can just check out our online user guide articles. We've got so many different articles for everything, all the things. Okay, well, Matt, we have a lot to cover today, a whole bunch to cover, starting with really just like the initial setup of a church app, to get that going. Of course. Building your cards, because that's like the meat of everything.
Yeah, that's the meat of the sandwich.
Yes, sharing your app, and then some pro tips. Mm-hmm. We've got a few good pro tips.
Yeah, just to make sure that you all get the most out of it.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into all those things, Matt, let's get just a quick overview of the app itself, because there's some people that haven't seen it yet, and also just so you know really quickly just what it looks like, the capabilities of the Church Connect app.
Yeah, so whenever you open up your phone, after you've downloaded the app onto your phone, you just tap on the icon and it opens to the home screen. This is the first thing that you see when you first access your Church Connect app. And the first and what you'll find there is the cards. So for some of you that have been with us for a while and you've had the old progressive web app that we used, this is going to look a little bit different because it won't have the header section or the body sections that you've added under the page setup screen. Just kind of want to make you aware. But it'll focus on the actual meat and potatoes, the real content that you've been building in Church Connect, and that's through these cards. So anyone who's in Church Connect can scroll through all the cards that you've added to your app. But beyond the cards, there's a toolbar at the very bottom. The giving screen is the first option, and this is where people can go to donate. We made sure to put that in the toolbar just so that everyone knows exactly where to go. They don't have to scroll for a card or even log in to find that option. It's just right there for everybody to find. There's predetermined or pre-selected options for an amount that a person can donate, but they can also tap this other option and type in a specific amount that they want to give. But once they make a selection, then they can choose which category to donate to, and that's it. From there, they can enter their payment information if they haven't already done so and give that gift. But we also added right there at their fingertips an easy way to set recurring donations. So they can choose how often they want to give and even when they want the gift to start, or the donation process or cycle to start from there. So then they just enter their payment method, they can opt in to cover that fee, and then they can send that gift to your church. Easy peasy. Now, next is the Events tab at the very bottom. It's also part of that toolbar. This is where members will easily be able to stay up to date on all the things that are coming up at your church. Again, back in the day, unless you added a calendar card, a member would have to log into their account to see all this information. Now, this way, it's right there at their fingertips.
I love that it's front and center, and also the ability to just update their availability.
Yes.
So that way you don't schedule people if they're going to be out of town and stuff like that.
That was a little bit difficult to find in the old app. Now it's right here in the events screen. But your members can take attendance if they're one of the leaders at the church. All they have to do is tap that take attendance button under that event that they're a part of and tap away at the names of the people that are there. They can also register for upcoming events like this men's barbecue coming up on the 2nd. Can't wait. Just tap that register button, fill out the form that was created in the events and attendance screen as a registration event. And in the worship screen, you can add services for people to volunteer and serve, and that shows up here as well. And I can see that I've already accepted the invite to serve for the upcoming service, and I can look at the outline ahead of time. All of this is packaged together in that events tab. And then there's the media tab. This is my favorite thing. This is something that didn't exist at all in the old app. Now it's here in the native app, where you can add a list. Like, you can curate resources and content from around the web. You can add a YouTube channel or playlist. You can add stuff from Vimeo. You can add a podcast RSS feed, and just have it all together in one place for your members to find. That way you don't have to tell members to go to this platform and subscribe over there. It's just all here for them. And whenever they tap on one of these media options like this podcast, they can play from within the app. So I can listen to a podcast episode from here. And whenever I activate that, let's say I just go ahead and start this episode, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's this little 3 dots, this little ellipses button. If I open that up, I can save that episode, so it's easy for me to find it later. I can donate directly to the church from the media, and I can also connect with them by filling out one of the form cards that you've created on the Cards tab. We'll talk about form cards a little bit later. All of this is packed together in the app. But on top of all of this, no matter where I am in the app, whether I'm on the home screen or anything else, there's a profile icon or an account icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen. From here, I can log into my profile as a member of this church, access all this information, and keep it fully up to date for myself and my family. And I can also see all the push notifications that are sent to this member. So that person not only, you can, obviously if they miss out on seeing it when it comes through initially, it'll just be waiting for them here to read it later. And most importantly, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but there's the ability to share the app. Your members can push that or share that to other members, so it's not all on your shoulders. So that's the overview, the quick overview of what's in your Church Connect app.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool stuff that our team has come out with for this, and we're already seeing thousands of people in churches across the world start to use this app, and it hasn't even been out a week. and most churches have just been in the process of kind of getting their people familiar with it in their leadership so they can launch it soon, which many of you are probably going to be launching this app soon in your congregation. So let's go through, let's talk about some of the things you want to get set up and building this thing. So that way you just have a phenomenal experience with your people in terms of just being able to connect with them, make it easy for them to give online and all this good stuff. And so I think we'll start, Matt, with just the initial setup, and let's start with giving.
Yeah, the funny thing about setting up Church Connect is you first have to actually start in other features.
Yes.
Because you want to make sure that there's stuff ready for your members to interact with and benefit from when you launch Church Connect. So you have to go into giving and events. So why don't you walk them through that?
Yeah, so first, giving. If your church is planning on using ChurchTrac Online Giving, if you already are, you just want to make sure that you have that set up first and foremost. If you haven't done that yet, it only takes about 20 minutes to create your account with Stripe, linking it with ChurchTrac, so you can get all that set up. I highly recommend, if you haven't done this already in your giving screen, go ahead and make sure all your categories are up to par, and whenever you have categories you want to actually show up in online giving, just make sure that you enable them for online giving by selecting yes here, so that way that particular category will show up. The last thing you want is people to go to give and certain categories aren't there that you want to be there, or you have it like a slew of categories and then your people are like not giving to your general offerings.
Because they don't even know what to give to.
Yeah, so that's definitely a big thing, is getting the giving set up. Our rates for giving are super competitive because we don't actually make money from them.
Yeah, we don't take anything off the top.
Yeah, so for credit card transactions, 2.2%, and then we also have ACH in the United States, which is a flat rate of just 25 cents for those transactions. So definitely get on that if you haven't set up your giving yet. Now, moving along, once you get giving set up, the next thing you want to do is get all your events set up. And I think the reason that it should seem obvious, but it isn't at first for a lot of churches, is whenever people go into your app, you don't want them to go into an app, Matt, where it's just nothing. Like they go to the events tab on their app and they're like, it's blank. And so starting by going to your event screen in ChurchTrac, and here my event screen, it's kind of wild because I do a lot of testing things here at ChurchTrac, but you see I've got all these events and everything set up. And the thing is, when you go to these events, you definitely want to make sure those events are published, because when you publish an event, that event is then going to be viewable on Church Connect. And so I've got all these different events published, like our MOPS for the moms coming here every week. And then like we've got the men's barbecue registration event, got that published. So definitely make sure you add all your events, make sure you get them published, especially like attendance events, so your small group leaders can track attendance and all that good stuff.
Right.
Just makes it easy. Then moving on, your favorite feature, Matt.
The media.
The media card. Well, not card, but the media feature in all of Church Connect. So when you go to your Church Connect screen, you have your Connect settings. And whenever you go to Connect settings, you have right here Connect app settings. And this is super important because you want to enable the media and then start adding your different feeds to your media. Mm-hmm. And one thing I do want to make really clear here, ChurchTrac isn't hosting all of your media. So like your podcast, your live stream, all that stuff, we're not hosting it, we're linking to it. And so this is where you can add all of your feeds, and this whole system actually, it's set up to properly guide you here. So if I put the title of this, like example, I'm just going to put sermon and then description, blah, 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 whatever. And then here I hit next, then it starts asking me, okay, what type of feed is this? This is an RSS feed, a Vimeo channel, a YouTube channel, a YouTube playlist. And so it guides you through this process of adding your feeds. So once you start adding all of your feeds, then you're ready to rock. And this is also where, Matt, you already mentioned this a little earlier, but being able to enable app giving, enable having a specific card.
Yeah,
and
you can choose which card shows up here.
99% of churches are going to use that Connect card. Just because they want to make it front and center for people to connect with them. And so you definitely want to make sure you have your Connect card created if you haven't done that already, or any other card you want to use, form card for this purpose. So that's a big one. And while I'm here, I might as well just go ahead and point out, you can put your own custom logo for your church app. And a lot of churches are going to probably have a different variant of their logo for their actual church app than they will for their church website aspect. Because a church app, it's a different experience. And so,
and it's a slightly different orientation.
Yeah. So that's a big thing with media. Now, the last thing in terms of initial setup, before we dive into like creating all our fun cards and all this good stuff, is actually on the people screen.
Okay.
And the reason why is because one of the big features of this new Church Connect app is the ability to send push notifications.
Right.
And when we send push notifications, now there are a lot of situations you are going to want to send them to your entire church. Everybody that has your app downloaded, that's logged into your app, you want to send a push notification.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of situations where, like for example, the men's barbecue, I only want to send a push notification to the men, or a lot of situations where you only want to send a notification to people who consider themselves members at your church. And so what
as opposed to guests, yeah.
Yes, and so what this requires is going to your setup on the people screen, setting up your groups, make sure you got all your groups in order and people assigned to those groups for that, and then also on your smart list, or you'll have user-defined fields. You want to have your user-defined fields set up and everything, so that way as you create all of your smart lists, which smart list, if you haven't used those much, it creates a list of people that's not static. They have to meet specific criteria. So for example, having one that has all of our students, stuff like that. So you'll definitely want to create your smart list, your groups, and make sure that's all organized well. So when you put your push notifications out, you will not have them just constantly going to everybody. You can actually segment them, which is great.
Perfect.
Love it.
Yeah, and that way it's targeted. You're not sending mass messages out to literally everybody and bothering people that don't need to be bothered.
Yeah.
Because that's a sure way to get people to opt out of those notifications.
It is. And we have a pro tip about push notifications we'll talk about later. I'm very passionate about push notifications, as you can already tell. But yeah, there's some good stuff. We'll talk about that. So that is kind of the initial setup. Mm-hmm. I mean, Matt, obviously there are little things you can nitpick, but overall, if a church does those things we just covered and make sure
the groundwork is laid.
Yes, they make sure they have their giving set up. Now, one thing I do want to revert back to giving, because I was only talking about ChurchTrac Online Giving. If you are using another giving provider, you'll want to use a link card. And as we create link cards a little later, when we create all these cool cards, we'll show you what we mean with that. Mm-hmm. So, speaking of cards, Matt.
Speaking of cards, because all we've done so far is talk about what Church Connect is and how to lay that groundwork and lay that foundation. Now let's talk about actually building and customizing content for your members to interact with. To do this, you go to the Church Connect feature in ChurchTrac, and then at the very top of the screen, Wes is kind of walking through this now. The very top of the screen, make sure you have the Cards tab highlighted. The first thing you'll see is some example cards, like these default things.
Those need to go.
Those all need to go. Don't keep them. We put them there just so that you could see, like, you're not just jumping into a blank slate flying blind.
Yeah.
We wanted you to kind of have an example of what Church Connect looks like and what cards look like, but don't put any stock in these cards. Delete all of them.
Now, one thing that we need to probably pay a little homage to is this orange notification thing here.
Oh, yes.
And this was by design, and this is because with Church Connect, as many of you know, it is a website and it is your church app. But if you haven't customized your Connect page link, you want to do that. And so customizing
being
your
a
link,
website, it has a URL. You can customize the URL just so that it's fully branded. It's cohesive with what you've got going on at your church. So Wes is putting in a keyword, is what we call it, into the URL, and he's going to go ahead and choose that. Once that's done, now he's ready to go to jump into Church Connect and start building it and customizing it. So if we go back to the Cards tab, we're going to skip the whole process of deleting those cards because that takes a moment. We're just going to jump into creating some cards. But again, before you do so, make sure you delete those example cards. But to get started, tap that Add a Card button, and then you'll choose what kind of card you want to add. There's 12 of them. Make sure to hover your mouse over each one, and it'll give you a quick explanation of what that card does or what it's for. What I'm going to walk you through is creating a couple of form cards. Because I know for a lot of churches, it's important to have a form that people can submit prayer requests to and a form to sign up to join the volunteer team so that you can grow your teams. So why don't we do the prayer request form first? So Wes has the form card highlighted. Make sure you name your cards, especially your page and form cards. That comes into play later when you want to customize the website. Go ahead and add this card. From here, there's some work that we can do to customize it, like adding an image to make it stand out among all of the other cards. So if you tap the Edit Card button, there's an option to upload or select a card image. So if you go to a program like Canva, you can drag and drop that image in, but we also have an integration with a platform called Igniter Media. It's a great Christian company that produces a lot of good visual media for churches to use. So for a card like this, if you type in prayer request, as Wes is doing, and it searches, it should pull up a list of options to choose from. And, that's okay, you are on the Igniter images. Maybe just type in prayer. There we go.
That's funny. Earlier I put prayer request and it did that, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Try it again. But you can load more images. You can search through our integration with Igniter Media. There we go. For whatever reason, it just wasn't loading earlier. You can select any of the images here, and it'll add it to the card for you, just to make this process really easy. That way you don't even have to think about the design of these images. Once you have an image created, though, you can add titles and card content. I highly recommend you avoid that just because it looks cleaner to use the image itself to explain what the card is for. So once you have this, Wes, scroll back up.
Now, I do want to point out, I have seen some churches that for their app, they actually don't use images at all, and they just use like a title. And that works if you're a church that's taking a more minimalist approach and you want like a text-only approach.
So it looks like just a button.
Yeah, and that brings me back kind of the days of like Microsoft with the Zune,
Yeah.
stuff. So if you are a church where you are more of like a minimalist approach and stuff, then images you might be able to actually not use. But vast majority of churches, like Matt said, images are where it's at.
If you go back to the return to card setup, from here, since this is a form card, you want to add fields for questions for people to fill out. At the bottom, there's a form questions button. If Wes selects that, it opens up this menu for you to start building out and customizing the form further. So Wes just toggled the add name and email fields to the form option on, so it just automatically injects fields for people to fill that out. Then add a question. From here, you can then select what kind of question you want to ask. There's lots of different options. We're not going to cover all of them just because that would take forever. But what I recommend you do for like a prayer request card, add like a, what can we pray for? Just add a basic paragraph and ask like, what can we pray for? So you added prayer request. I wasn't looking. Add a question. What I recommend you, what you do in this form at some point is ask permission or ask for consent to share that prayer request with the rest of the team. That way it's fully obvious what your intent is to how to use that prayer request, and you have that person's consent, and they won't get upset if they learn later that somebody knows about that prayer request. So yeah, share that option, add this field, and we'll just go ahead and call it done for today. You can, if you have other questions you want to ask them, you can fill that out for that form card. That's the basics of filling out a form card. I want to show adding another image though from a Canva file, because I've actually created some templates that I want to share with you today for customizing and making Church Connect look really professional. It's the same images that I used to create the images that are in the Church Connect app that I showed you just a little while ago on the phone. Wes has the file up right now in Canva, so we'll be sharing a link to this as a template that you can use to make your own images. So you can grab any of these images, you can customize them, change the colors, make them whatever you need to be. But once you've done that customization, you can download them and add them to a card in Church Connect. So Wes, why don't you go ahead and download that prayer request one? Yeah. Make sure it's a JPEG. That's the best file format for Church Connect images. Don't download all of them. It would take forever. There we go. And then download. Done. Only takes a couple seconds for that to work. Once Wes has that, he can go back into this Church Connect. He can replace that prayer request image with the image that he just downloaded from Canva, just to make it look really branded. That's why I created this template. That way, instead of relying on another platform like Igniter Media, having the kind of images that you want, or images that just look and fit and look natural for your church, you can go to Canva and with this template very easily put together images that are super cohesive with what the rest of what your church is doing online.
Yeah, I love that. And I highly recommend most churches go this route of putting in their prayer requests, pictures, and like basically any card that you're going to be using images for.
Yeah.
Creating your own, just because going with your branding is going to make it look so much better, not only for your church app, but for your church website, because a lot of times you're going to be using the same cards for both your church app as well as your church website. Since Church Connect is both, which actually we need to probably bring special attention to this about the cards.
Yeah. So whenever you're adding a card, just click on that card. And in the top right-hand corner of that slide out window, there's this row of tabs. One where it says all, and then another that has a globe for like the internet, and then one that has an Apple and Android logo. All means that card will display on both platforms, the website and the app. If you select either of those other tabs, like that app one, go ahead and select that, Wes. Now that card will only appear when someone is in the app. It won't appear on the website version of Church Connect. Also, if you select Show Additional Card Options and scroll down, there's a card status field. You can have this card display only when someone is logged into their account in Church Connect, or only when someone is not logged in. So you can really tailor this to the exact experience that you want. You can have cards displayed only in the app and only when someone's logged in, or only on the website and only when they're not logged in, and vice versa, and whatever other combo you want. So no matter how somebody is interacting with Church Connect, and no matter if they're a member or just someone in the community that's never visited your church at all, you can make sure that they have the exact experience you want them to have.
Awesome. Well, we just added one. I say we add another one. Why don't we do like a volunteer card?
Sure. So it's the same process. From here, we would click the Add a Card button, and then Form Card, and then, because we want people to fill this out and sign up to join. So Wes, select the form card.
Sorry, I had a brief moment there in my eyes. All right, and volunteer.
Yeah, just say volunteer. and then add this card. There, and I think you already have an image downloaded from the Canva file, don't you?
I don't yet, but you know what? I think this is a good opportunity to really show off how easy it is for a church to do their branding. So I'll pull up Canva here, and I know we've got like a volunteer one. Yeah,
a little bit more. It's near the top. There we go. Become a volunteer.
Looks so great.
So you could replace that background image with an image of your volunteers and leaders. I just threw that up there, just something generic to make it easy for you to understand. But you can also click on each one of those letters in the word volunteer and change it to a different color. Each letter is its own individual letter. It's not a whole word. So you do have to click on each one, but just swap those colors out. You could actually highlight all of them and change them all at once if you just highlight them all, or you can click on each one individually. But that's all you have to do to make any changes and fix that and make it your brand.
Cool. Yeah, and then it just comes down to, again, just downloading those images from Canva once a church has figured out, okay, this is what we want it to look like, download it, and then, again, this is a JPEG.
Make sure a JPEG, yep.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Sometimes I revert back to PNG because I'm just in like the mode of creating logos and stuff.
Yeah. You do want something really sharp for a logo, but that's it. All right, so that's downloading, and that's customizing our templates and downloading it so that you can then add it to your Church Connect. So once Wes has that downloaded, which I think it's done, he can drag and drop it from his computer files over into this. You have to go to the edit card menu first.
I was jumping the gun there.
I sometimes do that too. I get too excited. All right, so once he has that added, there we go, done. So from here, then he can go back to the card setup screen where he was just a moment ago. And in card setup, that's where he can build out the form questions like we were doing earlier with the prayer request. I'm not going to walk you through that again. You already saw and got some of those reps in, so we don't need to do that again. But that's the process of creating cards and building them, and especially form cards in Church Connect. But why don't we show them like a page card and a link card real quick before we move on?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. In terms of a page card, maybe we want a page for like our small group resources or something. And
perfect.
Because eventually maybe we want to link to a bunch of other things. So I'll add another card real fast, and we'll go page card right there. Now, the really important thing worth noting about the page card is the page card is creating an entire web page as well. Mm-hmm. And that's something, it's very unique to Church Connect. And this particular card is the only card that does that, where when you add this card, it's adding an entire web page in tandem with that.
No, form cards do too.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Technically, but the page card does add more customizations than a form card, so it's still unique.
Yeah. So then this one, what did I say? We're going to make this small group resources. And then I'll add it before the other cards. That way I can just quickly see it. Add this card. There we go. And then obviously I want to make this card look great. So I'm going to edit it and then select a card image. And I already have something made in Canva here. So let's go over to Canva. And this one, we had our small group resources. So I'll fly down there. Let's see here. Or at least I thought we did. Are my eyes failing me, or am I in the wrong one, Matt?
What are we doing again? I'm sorry.
Small group resources.
Yes, so go to the very bottom.
It's on the very bottom.
Go up a little bit. Oh, I guess it's not. I need to add it. I apologize.
That's all right.
But go to the other file, the tab next to it. Okay. It'll be in that one. So go to the very bottom.
This is the one for everybody. Yeah. There we go.
Keep going. It's going to be at the very bottom.
Yeah.
There it is.
Small group resources. Yeah, we have so many Canva tabs open right now. And this one, again, just want to stress to everybody, definitely you want to customize. Like we provide these templates in Canva. We have 2 different templates we provide and everything, and you'll see those in our user guide. But you want to customize them to your specific brand for your church, and have that way it just looks really sharp. And so maybe in this particular scenario, I'm just going to get a little crazy here. We're going to use that one. And I just love how fast it is to be able to quickly change colors and things. And churches, by the way, you can get Canva Pro for free as a nonprofit. And we have all that information on our user guide of how to do that. And so I'm just going to customize this one last thing, Matt, because I want it to look great. There we go. So small group resources. And then I'll go ahead and download this one. I would say, would you agree, Matt, that probably one of the the most time-consuming things of not only Church Connect, but just building a web presence is really just getting your branding down.
Getting your branding down, it's not just getting your branding down. If your church already has good branding, then you're set. And this is going to be really smooth sailing for you, because you can take one of these templates, just add your church's colors and a few other things, other details to it, and move on. When it comes to developing a brand, it can take a while. There are some really cool tools out there that will help you, though. Like I came across a platform called Coolers that allows you to create like a really awesome template, not a template, but a palette, color palette of 5 colors that all, and it uses machine learning to like pair colors professionally and make it look great. So you can have a color palette built out. Just go to coolers.co, not .com, unless you need something to keep the drinks cold at the next potluck. Coolers.co, and it'll help you build out that palette. There's other things that you can use. There's other platforms and tools for like brand fonts and logos.
Yeah.
But if you already have those assets, you can just upload them into Canva and then add them to every single thing you create from there.
All right, so we got this card made, Matt. Now I can just really dive in. Now this is a page card, so this is where I could start adding in all my content. And here it brings us to our page builder, where, I mean, this is a full-on web page where I can start building it all out, and it also applies to the app itself whenever you open it up.
Now the app, if you open up a page card in the app, it doesn't have all of the features that you build into the page setup screen, but it'll at least still have the content that you created.
Yeah.
So all the body sections and the text.
Now, one thing I do want to point out to everybody is we do have this feature. When you're building out your pages for both your church website and your app, you have the ability to publish it to the web or publish it to the app too. And this is really nice just because there are certain circumstances where if people are interacting with your app, there's certain content you just may not want to be on the app because you want to keep your app experience like very, very clean and stuff, which we are going to talk a little bit about in our pro tip later. But yeah, it's just crazy the amount of customization we have here between building out your church app and also your website. I guess I'll do one more, Matt. How about a link card?
Yeah.
Because this is so important.
Because you even mentioned earlier creating a link if a church is using another online giving platform.
Yeah.
Because we have online giving integrated and built in, but that's through Stripe. And if you're not using Stripe and you want to stick with the platform you're currently using, you can still direct people to that giving portal. It's just not going to be like internal. You'll have to link to another website. You do that through a link card. So Wes has selected link card. He's already added it. All he has to do from here is add an image to this card, again, just to make it stand out. We have that as part of the Canva file. If you scroll up, it's near the top.
Yeah,
just keep going. Right under Connect. Support.
There it is.
Yeah,
and again, you'll probably want to customize this with your church's colors and everything. And I think what a lot of churches are going to do is they're going to use this template we provide in Canva, customize all of the cards so they have them done and ready, and then as they need them, they just add them all into Church Connect. And so then I can quickly just say, all right, I want to download this particular one and make that in a JPEG file, and I just want that current one, and then download it. And now it's downloading.
No, you didn't hit the download button. Oh. You just selected which card you want, which image you wanted. There we go.
I really do need to get a pair of glasses, Matt. I'm hitting this point where I'm thinking I'm clicking things that I didn't click. So then we'll upload the image. And again, Igniter Media, like there's so much great content there if you just want to go that route. But I think a lot of churches, as they get the hang of customizing their cards with a platform like Canva, they're going to love that more. And so now I've got my donate card. And since this is a link card, in this particular scenario, you just put in that link. And so if you're using something like Tithely or Givelify.
Yeah, you just copy that URL for that platform and drop it into that field, paste it, and you're done.
Yeah. Now, one of the limitations of using a third-party giving provider with Church Connect, both in the app and the website, is that it is taking it completely out of the platform.
Ecosystem.
And so, especially for the app, this is going to be something where your people probably won't notice it too much, but it's going to open up a web browser if you're using something like Givelify or Tithely. So just keep that in mind, that the whole giving experience is not going to be as unified as the experience in using the ChurchTrac online giving with our Stripe integration. But again, this link card, use it for everything from online giving to linking to your live stream to linking to something like, I don't know, if you have other resources you want to link to, churches want to link to their Instagram page, all that good stuff. So there you go.
Love it. So why don't we talk a little bit about sharing the app? Because you've done all the work of laying the groundwork and then adding and customizing and building content. But once you do all that work, it would be a shame if no one downloaded and used it.
Yeah.
So we've given you several ways to make it easy to disseminate this and get more people to download it. In the Church Connect feature in your ChurchTrac account, at the very top of the screen, Wes clicked on Connect Settings earlier to show you where to upload your church's logo and add the media to the Media tab. But in that menu on the left, right below Connect User Settings and above Connect App Settings is the Share the Connect App option. This is where you'll find 3 things, really 4 things, because you also have that toggle switch. There's a QR code. That's the easiest way. That's the best option. You can download the QR code from the screen, add it to the brochures, add it to flyers, add it to a slideshow during your service. And if anyone scans that code, here's what's really cool about the code and the URL. If they scan that QR code or if they click on that URL, it takes them to the correct app store, depending on their platform, whether it be Apple or Android. And when they download it, it has your church's information already loaded in. So they don't have to go searching for it or add anything else. It's just there for them. It's all ready to go. So make sure you're using the QR code and the URL. However, we know that some people will download the app when they don't have access to the QR code. It's not in front of them. So that code on the right, the install code where it says potent, your church has a unique code to the right of the QR code. That person who downloads Church Connect and doesn't have the link or the QR code, they'll have to type in that code to find your church and have all of that information. And then that Show App Store buttons in the Connect footer, toggle switch at the very bottom, that'll add a prompt and a button at the bottom of your Church Connect website that takes people to the correct app store, and it downloads everything from there.
And I want to show that real fast. So I'm going to open up the potential church's website. And so as I pull that up here, if I scroll down to the bottom of my website, you can see right there, download on the App Store, get it on Google Play.
Perfect.
Love that.
So it just adds that in. You don't have to do anything to make that happen except just toggle that switch and the system takes care of the rest.
Yeah. Now, if you are in the boat where you're like, hey, Wes, we're using Squarespace or wherever you're hosting your website, and you want to have like sweet icons just like this, what you're going to have to do is download images of these particular icons, and you might even be able to find those in Canva.
I think yes, I know you can because I've added them to stuff.
Yeah, so that's what you would get those images, and then you would link those images back to the link that Matt was showing here on our settings. So going back to our Connect app setting, the sharing your Connect app, you would pull in this link and add that to it. To be able to do that.
Easy. Yeah. And one last way, I showed it earlier, but I want to hit it again just because it's so important. In the Church Connect app itself, whenever a member has logged into Church Connect, all they have to do is tap that login icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen, or their profile icon. And then right below the notification section is the Share Church option. And it opens up it's the same QR code and it's the same URL. The share button below the QR code has the link already added, like it's saved it onto their phone and their clipboard, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then they can send it by message, in an email, or any other method that they prefer. So we give your members the ability to share the app with other people, just so that it makes it simple. You don't have to get this information out to everybody yourself. It can all be done by your members too.
Yeah. Another thing too, Matt, pull the iPhone again. You might have to replug it in because it might have disconnected on you.
Okay.
I want to show something that I'm going off script here, but I think it's so valuable. Close out of the app completely. Good. Now, if you push and hold the app, you have the ability to share the app too. And so this is something
on iPhone anyway.
This is something really great. I just wanted to reinforce this is, all your members that you text regularly and stuff, especially like your core leadership, like taking advantage of that, sharing it with them in iMessage or in your Android device, because Android does the same thing. Mm-hmm. This is really going to get all of your core leadership on board really fast, especially like thinking like small group leaders and things like that. So yeah, really great way to share it. All right. Well, we've got that sharing out of the way. I want to dive more into some other ways to share it, because here's the deal. We can work so remarkably hard to build a church app and build a beautiful church app like this. But if people aren't using it, it's all for nothing. And so we want to share it with people, and all the ways that Matt showed, those are like the biggest ways to share it. But I just, to help you share it even more, number one, your website. Like we already showed that footer on your website, but taking it to the next step of maybe, especially if you're not using Church Connect as your website, having like a dedicated like section on your website that's up high, just saying, hey, download our new app and stuff like that. And so like if I just give an example, like I go to my main site here, you may have for a brief period of time for like your first month or so, or maybe you put a section on your website with the big call to action of download our new church app, something like that. That's going to go a long ways. Another thing too is emailing it to your people. Email is such a powerful tool. Now, it's funny, Matt, because email still, if you're lucky as a church, you may get like 10% of your people to actually like click things in your emails.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not valuable. It's just one other way, because you may have some people that read all your emails, but like don't do anything else.
Well, the benefit of email is that it sits in their inbox, and that like the funny thing about email is that the read and open rates climb as time passes. So like 20 minutes after an email is sent, almost no one reads an email. But 3 days later, almost everyone has read the email.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about, because like texting, the open and read rates are almost instant. Usually within like a minute or two, everyone's read the text. So with an email, send it out to everybody, and don't worry about the fact that lots of people aren't opening it right away. A lot of people will just get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But we've made it really easy, because in our new email builder that we've also added to Church Connect, or to ChurchTrac, I should say, you can create an email and have you can add a button to the email so that it just stands out and prompts people to click or tap on it. So you can have a button added to the email that says download the app, like Wes is doing, and we gave you the URL. It's in Church Connect, the deep link URL that takes people directly to the App Store and then directly into your app. Just copy and paste that URL into this window for the button URL, and you're done. You have a button added to an email that takes people directly where you need them to go for the app.
And yeah, the email tool is so great for that. And I think a lot of churches, in fact, my church has done this too, where we have links in our email that are always there. And like, a lot of churches may have these core links where they'll have a button for downloading the app, one for giving online, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think having a button in all of your email newsletters for downloading your app is a really great way to get more people to download it.
I was just thinking of a one-time email, but that's even, you're thinking with your whole brain.
The big brain stuff. And then like texting is obviously going to be a big one. And then also just when we share everything with our people in church, and one really great resource that Matt made that we have made available to churches as well, it's on our online user guide, but we actually created a Canva template for you to share your app with your church. So this is gold, Matt, because then we can put this on the projector and have it in our sermon slides, or maybe have a moment where we're doing announcements at the church and we say, hey, everyone look right now at the screen. Here is how to pull out your phone.
Normally we don't tell people to pull their phone out during service, but this may be an exception.
And this is actually kind of wild, because you can then drag and drop, like take a screenshot of your app and then just drag and drop that screenshot right there on that phone, and it'll show your church's app. And you can do that with this one too. Like it's actually kind of insane how cool it is.
Like I didn't create that. That's an asset from Canva. Canva has these things where it'll even like that phone that's angled like that, it'll even angle the image for you.
It's
so
kind
it just
of
looks
absurd.
Really intuitive and natural.
Yeah, we may need to post
no Photoshop skills necessary.
I think we're gonna have to post a video of just using this alone. Yeah,
okay.
This is so cool. But yeah, all these are just really great ways to share the app with our people in our church, and so that way we get more and more people to download the app, because we want them to use the app because it makes them more connected, hence the name Church Connect. All right, well, we have so much we have covered, Matt, and we're going to round it up with
a few pro tips.
Yeah, just some great pro tips that I think if churches Obviously, I have like a lot of pro tips I would want to add, but I think these are the 4 best that we could put in this mix. And let's start with the first one, card status. Use your card status to build 2 unique experiences on your church app. And we got to elaborate more on this. We already kind of talked about it earlier, but like whenever you go and you start customizing your app, so right now I was on the email builder because I was wanting to share my app with my people, but back to Church Connect, as I add all these cards, start thinking through like, okay, what are the types of cards that I really don't want to be visible to someone unless they've actually created an account to log into the app and they're a member? Well, like maybe it's going to be something like what we believe. Like I don't want this to necessarily be on the app when someone's logged in. So in this particular
because that would presumably be a member of your church. And they already know what you believe because they're there. I mean, they're a part of the church. So they don't need that information constantly available to them in their app. You can remove that from their experience. Keep the card. Make sure it's available for someone when they're not logged in, or perhaps only available on the web version and not in the app at all.
Yeah.
So that's the fun thing about Church Connect is you can play around with this and make sure that basically you can think through and say, all right, well, the website, that's probably only going to be used by people in the community who are checking out our church. So I'm going to make sure that cards that display there are like general information about the church. And those cards won't display in the app because the only people using the app are members and they already know all that information. They don't need to know service times and locations.
Yeah.
They're already here.
Yeah.
So that kind of thought process can be applied to Church Connect, and you can curate this and customize it to be exactly what you want it to be for several different use cases all at once. The next pro tip is don't create too many cards. Now, because you have the ability to segment cards based on the website, the app, when they're logged in, when they're not logged in, you can create lots of cards. You can have a lot of cards here on this card screen. But what I mean is don't make someone have to scroll forever. This isn't Instagram. This isn't social media. You don't want the feel of the infinite scroll. Someone has to like go forever before they find the card that they're looking for. The general rule of thumb, exceptions abound, but the general rule of thumb is once the number of cards hits the double digits, you may want to back off a little bit so that there's not too much information for people to have to sort through. But again, because you can say, all right, this card will only appear here and not there, you can have lots of cards. It's just you need to think through and make sure, okay, the app experience only has these 8 cards and the website only has these 7 cards. And when someone logs in, they only see these 6 cards, stuff like that. Just make sure that no matter how someone is interacting with Church Connect on the website, the app, logged in or not, there's not so much information that it overwhelms them.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, Matt, because I was actually working with the church last week and they were asking me about the cards, and they were very passionate about all these events they had going on at their church. Yeah. And I asked them like, well, what's the most important one? And of course they said, well, all of them. Yeah. And I said, no, like, here's the deal. Like, you need to pick and choose the events you really want to stress to people for certain times. Like, yes, you may have MOPS every week at your church, and you may have like a class for people who are going through addiction and all these things. But when it comes to like making a card specific for it, like an event card, and then making that front and center, maybe pick like, okay, well, right now we're really hard on VBS for the next few weeks. Yeah. That's the one you want to make front and center. This is what my church does as well, and it works really nicely because we're able to say, all right, what is the most important 2 events for this month? Yeah. These 2. Okay. That's it. Now we have the card for that.
Yeah. And even though other things are happening, these are the 2 big ones, and this is an opportunity to promote those things. Yeah. That's what you have to think of as for the app and the website. What are we wanting to promote to as many people as possible? So yeah, like I would say 1 to 3 events, 3 events max in your cards, but better to even have fewer, just 1 or 2.
Now that was probably the longest explanation of a pro tip known to man, but I think it was so necessary because that's a common pain point. I see a lot of churches, they just put too many cards. Okay, the next one, send push notifications regularly, and don't forget that you can segment them. Now, I have a lot to unpack on this pro tip because I think there's so much information that needs to be known about push notifications.
Yeah, first that the person has to be logged in.
Yes, they have to be logged in. And also, a person, they do need to, if they're on an iOS device, they actually, as soon as they download the app, they need to opt into your push notifications. On Android, I believe, as it stands now, it's automatic. They have to opt out, right?
Yeah, the default, it's not that well, a lot of Android devices, and it's different across Android devices, but a lot of them now are initially asking for that permission.
Yeah.
Allow or don't allow. So you do have to opt in for most Android devices now, though some will automatically opt in. But what I see a lot of Android devices doing now, and I think iOS does this too, is if a person doesn't access an app within 30 days, that app then loses all of its permissions. So like if a person never opens your app, even if they opted in initially to receive push notifications, they'll lose those notifications later. So push notifications are actually a clever way to get people to regularly access the app. Because when they see that push notification come across their screen, they might tap on it, which will then take them to the app itself, and they'll maintain those permissions to receive future notifications.
Yeah. So let's talk more about push notifications for a brief moment. Right now, I'm actually currently in the process of sending a push notification, Matt. And so what I love about push notifications, they go straight to the device.
Yep.
Everything. It doesn't go to your messages, by the way. So like if you're using iMessage or your text message on Android, this is going straight to the app itself. And so like along with your Instagram push notifications and everything else in between, this is where that goes. So when you send out your notifications, you can actually schedule them, which is super cool. But I just want to send it out, and it's going to tell you roughly how many people it's delivering that to. And so in a moment, Matt's going to get that push notification.
I see a little red notification icon on the iPhone.
Yeah, show it off, Matt. Yeah.
There it is. So now the app has that little red 1 over it. I don't know if it's on the screen yet. But in the app itself, I can see that red notification button. If I pull the top, where's the notification center? I don't know.
I think you already closed it earlier.
I may have already closed it. That's okay. I don't know Apple. But now in the top right-hand corner, the account icon or profile icon now just has that notification. If I tap on it, there's that Men's Cookout notification right below the profile picture. So all of that is built into your ChurchTrac account. You have the ability to communicate with your members in multiple ways, but now push notifications is just another one of those options to reach out to your people.
Yeah, and now let's go back to the pro tip now. I know that was like a long, man, these pro tips are getting way too long.
Long-winded, man.
But so you want to send them regularly, and by regularly, I mean once a week. And you don't want to send just the same thing every week. You want to actually keep it like, okay, this week our sermon is on this, and we're diving into this, something like that. And send it the same day, same time every week. That way your people get used to it. People are creatures of habit. Now, when it comes to push notifications, how many is too many? Well, too many is whenever you start bothering people. And the quickest way to bother people is to send them more than about 3 push notifications a week. Really, it just comes down to how many things are going on at your church and how much are you segmenting. Because if you are, getting hyper specific in your segmenting because you have a pretty large ministry and you're able to do that, well, then you might be sending 6 push notifications in a week, but you'll only have like 3 push notifications getting sent to each audience.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So I always stress that try to send one once a week. That way it keeps it on people's radars, and it also keeps them opted in because some devices will opt out if you don't send them that frequently, but also don't send so many that it just becomes noise. Push notifications are meant to augment our communication, not turn into noise. So that's push notifications.
All right.
This one I love, Matt.
Last pro tip is offer assistance for people when downloading the app. This is something that I had to do at my church when we initially launched Church Connect. I had a congregation with a lot of older people, a lot of people that were unfamiliar with tech, just had a very low tech proficiency rate. And so what I did is first I hyped up the app for a few weeks before we actually launched it, just to get people excited about it. I didn't just drop it in their laps, basically. Yeah. But on the day that we launched it, I put the QR code up. I talked them through how to download it, told them to pull out their phones and everything. But I said, listen, if you have questions or need any help, I'll be in the welcome area after service. Just bring your phone to me. And then they did. A lot of people did. There was a line. And so they would bring their phone. I would go ahead and download the app on their phone. I would then even say, hey, would you like help setting up an account? Sure, okay, here, put in your email address, create a password, hand it back to me. I finished all that up. Would you like me to set up online giving? Do the same thing. Walk them through everything that you want them to do in the app. So what I recommend you do is that you get familiar with Church Connect. Once it's all ready and you've got it set up, but before you launch it, you get familiar with it. And you even train other leaders or volunteers on how to do everything you want your members to do within the app so that they can walk those members through as well. And that's the benefit of that share option in the app.
Yeah.
Because those leaders, they don't have to be in the welcome area with like a little QR code on a flyer. They can just boop.
On their phone.
It's like, hey, scan this. Like in the sanctuary, they can just say, hey, here, scan this real quick. And then walk them through everything else from there.
I mean, I love how easy it is because literally once I go to the app, there are 2 taps to get there, and I've already got it, and you can see that QR code there. And then I'm like, here, Matt, scan this QR code. Done.
Yep.
Like,
easy.
Yeah.
Made it super simple.
And one thing that Matt didn't tell you all, but he was able to get the vast majority of his church to start using the app by just doing that a couple weeks. I thought that was so incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was over half of the church downloaded it, which like that's big.
Yeah,
just having over 50% of a congregation do something is amazing. So that's what I recommend, and that'll get a much higher download rate and usage of your app just by doing that one thing.
All right. Well, we've covered a whole lot today, Matt. I mean, we first showed off all the things in the app for the people that haven't seen it yet. Then we dove into just kind of the initial setup. We got deep into cards and kind of sort of talked a little bit about Canva, but didn't get crazy deep into that because that's another story for another day. But and then just kind of really finishing things off with just sharing and the pro tips. I think now is a good time for us to just dive into questions. Now, again, I just want to remind you, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, or you're watching in the future, hello, future. We do have a YouTube channel that we post all these videos on and these live streams that we're currently doing. But obviously, you can't converse with us in real time if you're watching in the future or on those other platforms, because we do all the Q&A in our Vimeo stream here. But we're going to go ahead and open up our Q&A.
Yep,
and this
I've activated it.
What we're going to do with this, Matt, is our team's going to kind of try to go through these questions just because sometimes what happens is people won't be paying attention, and not necessarily they're not paying attention, but they're multitasking. And so if we see a lot of the same questions, we are going to archive them and not even address them because we don't want to keep just answering the same question over and over again. And so I just want to kind of reinforce that like if we didn't answer your question, it may be because we've already answered it a couple times and we don't want to bore everybody else with the same question being answered. Or it may be a particular question where it's more of like a support situation where you just need to reach out to our support team. But we're going to do our very best to answer all the questions. Now, before we start answering all these questions, there are a couple facts, frequently asked questions we've been getting about the church app that I think we need to address now, and it may cause people to not ask those questions too.
Sure, go ahead.
So the first is we've already had a lot of people ask, well, like, all right, does every account have access to this new church app and everything? And the answer to that question is yes, all churches have access to Church Connect. The only caveat is if you are on one of our older legacy tiers, and you'll know because the application will tell you, especially if you're trying to use the media feature in Church Connect. So if you go to Church Connect and you're going to your settings and you go to your Connect app settings, and you try to use the media feature, that's not going to be available to you. That's only available on people who are on our current plans. That's one way to know. The other thing is the push notification feature. That is not available if you are on our legacy plans. You have to be on our current plan to have access to the push notifications. So I think I just answered probably a few people who were going to ask that question that were just like, what gives, Wes? I don't see these features that I thought I had. So wanted to get those ones added there.
All right.
All right.
So AJ and Amy both asked basically the same question. Amy says, if we have the older app version, how do we update the app? AJ asked, will this app update automatically if we're already using the older version? The answer is yes. There's nothing to do. The app is already out there and you've already added cards and those cards are already in that app. So just go to the App Store, download Church Connect, and you're done. There's nothing that you need to update to make that appear there. But again, like Wes was saying, you do need to be on our most recent subscription level or like the most recent plan, up-to-date plan in ChurchTrac in order to get like the push notifications and the media feature. So as long as you go to the app and you see those, then you're clear. That's all you need to worry about.
One thing just to point out, to write on that one, so a lot of churches have been asking, well, like, are there any other benefits of upgrading my plan? There actually are a couple other really sweet benefits. One is you get to use your custom URL. And so if you're wanting to completely move your church website over to ChurchTrac, stop spending $300 a year for Squarespace or Wix or whatever platform you may be using, you can do that. And so that's one of the perks of being on our latest plan. And another perk is our email builder, which I know many, many churches that are using other platforms that are great platforms like Constant Contact or MailChimp, but you got to pay for those. And you have access to all of our new email building features with ChurchTrac that can replace tools like those for your ministry. And so it's really a win-win.
All right. Wes, I'll ask this of you. Beth says or asks, can we personalize the 6-character alphanumeric code for the church to access the app?
We have plans.
Okay. So stay tuned, I guess, is the answer. Belinda says, thanks for everything. Could you send the links for the various Canva templates? We'll have them in the user guide, ready to go in the coming, I'll have them all in there once we're done with this today.
Yeah, and a plug for the Facebook group. I'm going to post those in the Facebook group later today as well, just because it's super popular and people are asking for them.
So Michael asked, can you change the image on the home screen to your personal logo? You can't change the app logo, like the app icon, I should say. You can't customize that, but in the Church Connect feature, go to Connect settings. Wes is doing that now. And the Connect app settings option in that menu, you can upload your church's logo there, and it'll appear at the very top of the screen, the home screen in the app itself. So that's what you can customize and add there. I think there was another question very similar to that I saw earlier. Anthony, this is it. What dimensions are you using for the logo in the app? Jerry asked, what size is the logo image? So there's a few questions along that. So for the logo, stick with a 2-to-1 ratio. So whatever your dimensions are exactly, make sure it's something like 800 pixels wide by 400 pixels tall, some sort of 2-to-1 ratio. If you do that and it still doesn't quite look right, reach out to the support team and we'll give you some recommendations further from there, because it will a little bit depend on your logo itself.
Yeah.
So there's some nuances there and some things that may need to be trialed and errored before it looks the way you want it to look.
And part of that just goes to the customization that we offer, where you can use your own size. And so some logos you may want to have a certain size.
Yeah. Garnet asked, is there an additional cost to send push notifications? No cost. Again, as long as you're on our most up-to-date plan with ChurchTrac, that's it. Push notifications are totally free. They're not an additional subscription fee, and you don't have to pay per recipient like you do with texting and voice messaging. So that's what's great about push notifications. They're free.
Yeah.
Mayor Bridges asked, says, during our initial phone call, we were told about prayer walls. How do we set it up where others can see what has been input on a form card? That's not a...
So there's a few different ways you can do prayer walls, and it just comes down to the needs of your ministry. The most common way that we see churches do them is they have the form card that we showed off a little earlier for submitting prayer requests, and then as prayer requests become filtered, the church will then put those on a page card, so that way people can read all those prayer requests and be kept in the loop. This is the most ideal way that we recommend, because it enables you to filter those prayer requests. You don't want people just being able to post any kind of randomness for obvious security reasons, and also just the public perception, and also HIPAA compliance. I almost dropped my mug because that's that big of a deal. It's kind of a crazy thing, Matt, but a lot of churches, unfortunately, unknowingly, put out a lot of stuff on their website that is actually breaking HIPAA law. So you got to be very careful with that stuff.
All right, Sam asked, how do you check the family statement under giving? Well, that's easy. In the app itself, I don't know if David can quickly put this up on the screen, but in the app itself, just tap that giving button in the toolbar at the bottom. And on that screen where you can select your gift, at the very top, right next to where your profile image or profile icon is, there's that little $sign. Just tap that and it takes you to your giving records. That's where you can find that information in the app itself. So thank you very much for asking. I should have pointed that out earlier, Sam. Naomi asked how to switch from the web app to the App Store app if you already have it set up. Again, no switching. You just go to the App Store and delete the web app off your phone. Everything's there for you. It's already ready to go. Again, you may want to dive in and curate some things further, because now we've added the ability to segment whether a card appears on the app or the website, but it's ready to go. Brenda asked, it looks like one of our team has already answered that. Craig asked, is it correct that you can have cards only on the welcome page? Well, yeah, you can have cards only appear on the home page, if that's what you mean, or some cards only appear on the landing page of your website. So yes.
And some churches I have seen, Matt, they get really hyper specific, and instead of having cards that they have displayed both on their website and their app, they actually say, all right, we're creating these cards only for the app, and we're creating these cards only for the website.
Yeah.
Just because they're that much more wanting to keep their branding super consistent and everything.
So Richard Cook asked, is there a plan to allow a clickable link in the event text? Well, you do already have some clickable elements in that event text to record attendance or register for the upcoming event or see the worship outline. If you want to direct them elsewhere online, I don't think that's an option currently.
Send a feature request.
Yeah, send in a feature request for that.
And one thing too, just to point out, anytime you're navigating through ChurchTrac, we have this little feedback to the bottom left. Now, this is not where you submit support tickets, just want to point that out. But this is where you send us feedback. We love getting feedback. We love those 5-star feedbacks, and it just makes our day when we know that all this hard work we're doing is paying off for you all. But this is where you can also send those feature requests. And we love when we get these too, because here's the deal. We've got a lot of smart people here, and we work really hard, but when you can help tell us what it is you're trying to accomplish with your church and features that would be very beneficial, we really take those into consideration. And if we have a lot of churches asking for certain things, we try to incorporate as many of those things as we can. So, feature request.
Okay. Anthony, will you guys eventually be offering group messaging in the app for teams or different groups, allowing churches to move away from GroupMe or Slack? Isn't that a TBD?
But talk to us in a few months.
Yeah, check back in a little while, and we'll get back with you. Denitra, well, the older version of the app doesn't show a share option. Am I missing? Yeah, the older version of the app is the older version of the app. That's the web app that's being sunset or will phase out. The native app that you see in the App Store, that's where you'll find the option to share to download. So make sure you're downloading it there.
I think the proper terminology we're looking for is to take from our friends in the Men in Black organization, old and busted, new hotness. And
Okay.
for anybody who is like, yes, I love that movie. But yeah, it's this new app. I mean, they've just taken it to the next level, and there's so many great features, and we're already seeing thousands of people download it, and we expect that to exponentially increase as more and more churches start incorporating it into their mix.
First Pentecostal Church, does this new feature require updates, and will it cause other features to change? Wes hit on this a little bit earlier. We do have to be on the most up-to-date plan in ChurchTrac in order to have push notifications and the media feature in the app. But the app is available to all ChurchTrac accounts, period. As long not the desktop version, which some churches are still using, amazingly. But the web version, they all have access to Church Connect. No, full stop. Marissa, is there a way for cards to be only visible for specific smart lists? For example, a place for different ministry teams' schedules? No, there's not a way to segment by smart list. Send a feature request and we'll pass it on to the dev team and see what they can do there, but that's not something that's possible.
That's something you really want to leverage our worship and scheduling feature, just because that's going to make your life so much easier, and it's going to make the whole need of having all these schedules for different teams kind of moot, because you'll be able to schedule all of your different teams with worship and scheduling and have reminders get sent to your people and all the other cool things.
All right, Amy at Shiloh asked, will the web app remain active? Yes, for now. I don't have any date for when it will be fully sunsetted, but it's not going to be around in the future at some point. Larry H, if I already downloaded the app, but I just changed the logo, do I need to reinstall again to get the logo to appear? Depends on where you added the logo. If you mean like the app icon, that's going to go away. If you mean the logo at the top of the page setup screen, that can stay there. That's not going to change, but you need to also add that in the Connect settings in Church Connect, just to make sure it appears at the top. Deanna asked, is there an additional cost for this? No, this is totally fully included in your, even churches that are on our standard plan. Like you don't even have to be on our highest price tier to make this work.
Yeah.
You can be on our mid tier and still have this whole thing. Love it.
It still blows my mind that like other companies that I shall not name are charging churches like $100 a month or $200 a month to have an app, and then like $1,000 setup fee and all this craziness. You don't have that.
Makes me so mad.
Yeah.
All right. Dina, is there a way to remove the media icon at the bottom of the app when we do not have the most up-to-date plan? Yeah, like if you go to Connect settings, if you go to the Connect settings and then go to Connect app settings where Wes already is, there's that toggle switch to enable or disable the media. So if you toggle that off, it removes that icon from the toolbar. So if you don't have the most up to date, or like if
it won't even be available.
Yeah, it won't even be available.
Yeah.
But it also like if there's any part of the app that is not ready for, and you don't have something to add there, just remove it.
Just for fun, Matt, like I just disabled enable app giving and I disabled enable media. And if you were to close the app and reopen it.
Yeah, so let me close it and reopen it. Ooh, I keep doing it wrong. I need to get better at social media.
I apologize for this Android user in our midst.
Yeah, so the media is gone. So there's the home button, the giving button, and the events button. But even online giving, like the giving button, the online giving option is gone. It's just the giving history.
Correct. Yeah. So there you go. If you're not utilizing the online giving or the media, just disable those, and that way it will act accordingly for you.
Cool. Amy asked, will there be a song library access in the new app?
Yes, there will be.
Yes. Thank you very much, Amy, for asking. Danny, we have no giving app on the home page in the toolbar of our Church Connect app. Again, check out, reach out to
our team. Yeah,
reach out to the support team so that we can look into that, just to make sure we give you the right information on what to do from there. Dina, the enable media choice is not showing in my software. You're probably on an older plan then. You're on one of our older ChurchTrac plans. If you are interested in that feature, reach out to the support team and we'll tell you how to upgrade from there. Luke, I am your father. How can we add a worship outline / song that we will be doing this week to the calendar in the app? Not in the it doesn't show up in the calendar.
So can you tell me that question again, Matt? I'm trying to fully.
Did it get archived already?
How can we add a worship outline / songs that we'll be doing this week to the calendar on the app? So you really want to leverage the worship and scheduling for that, because then whenever you schedule your people for that, they're going to be able to see the outline. In fact, Matt, you can show them real fast from the app itself. Whenever your people are in the app, and in this case, you go to the events screen where you can see you're scheduled, and you can see there's your next scheduled there. And so when you select that, it shows the worship outline. And if you click a song or select a song, you've got the information for that song. So there's like a chord chart and all that good stuff right there. So yeah.
Easy.
Chord transposition too, by the way.
Love it. All right, Anonymous asked, when setting up the domain under Connect settings, are we required to use Cloudflare? We are on Namecheap and have paid for 5 years.
No, you don't have to use Cloudflare.
That's just the platform we recommend.
We recommend it just because everything they offer for free is kind of nuts, to be honest. But no, we're not affiliated with them in any way. It's just we have found that's been the easiest one in terms of making things switch over with your domain. But Namecheap, we have hundreds of churches using Namecheap as well as other domain registrars.
Joshua asked, when will the Canva template link be sent? I'll have that added to a few of the user guide articles right after we're done with this. So it'll be up right away. Next question. Monica asked, we are using ChurchTrac from Latin America. Is it possible to have the app or website in Spanish?
Yes.
Yes.
It's already available in Spanish.
Yeah. Is it under global settings? I forget exactly where you go to do this, but it's in Connect settings that you set this.
It's a couple options. First, I want to show in the settings in ChurchTrac itself. When you go to settings under your preferences,
it's right there,
yeah, I can shift it to Spanish. Now I can't read Spanish very well, so I'm going to shift it back to English. So there's that. But that's something in terms of the app. There is a setting in the app itself, but I just can't remember right now at the top of my head where that's at.
If you go to Church Connect and then go to Connect app settings, I'm trying to remember exactly where this is too. Goodness gracious. Oh, it's in. Okay, under Connect User Settings. So if you go to Connect Settings, I mean.
Connect Settings, okay.
Connect Settings and then Connect User Settings. It's the third option from the top. And then scroll all the way to the bottom. Default language for Church Connect users.
There you go. Thank you so much, Matt. I knew,
yes.
As y'all can imagine, there are so many new features with this app that it can get hard to remember every single one, but yes. So then default language. But your people also have the ability in the app itself to adjust the language too, which is really nice. Now here's the one caveat I will say, just because I've worked with so many bilingual churches using not only Church Connect, but for their app, but also for the website, is if you're creating images for your cards, you're probably going to need to both put the English and Spanish text, if, for example, if you're a bilingual church with English and Spanish speaking people. So just kind of keep that in mind as you add images for cards and things, that if you have a lot of people who can only read one language, not the other, you need to include both languages on the images themselves of your cards. So,
Verinis asked, can multiple events in a day be condensed to categories? No, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. So if you have some thoughts on exactly how that can be structured, send us a feature request and we'll see about that.
I think I understand where they're coming from, Matt. Like if you have a lot of Sunday school classes that are meeting on a Sunday, stuff like that, I would argue that in situations like that, it's probably best to leverage something like a page card, in which you can then outline all of your different classes and the times they meet and everything, just because there is this kind of balancing act of like what you want to put on your upcoming events and what you don't want to put on your upcoming events. And so I would recommend for a lot of churches, like if you've got like 10 different Sunday schools classes meeting on Sunday, you probably don't want to put those all in your upcoming events. You probably want to have a dedicated page for all your Sunday school classes that then links to another page for that specific class and the times and all that. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. In fact, just reach out to our support team. We'll look at it together with you and see what the best solution will be for you in that particular case.
Jessica asked, is there a way for people to add themselves to groups for push notifications? There is not currently a way for members to add themselves to a group or a smart list in ChurchTrac. That would be up to the leader, like you or other users, to update that on the people screen for them. But however, a lot of smart lists can be triggered by fields on their profile.
Yeah.
And you can give people access to updating fields in their profile in Church Connect. So if you can think through how to tie a field to a smart list and that field being added to a profile, there may be some intuitive ways for you to do that. But that's getting really deep into this, and we don't have time to cover all of that.
Yeah, and I would say this, just I don't want to get too deep, but like in your fields and creating your user-defined fields for your church would probably be a situation in which you'd add a field and then you would have like who can view this field. You can then in this case maybe say show the field in Church Connect, and that way people can update it perhaps. There's a few different ways you can do it, but again, we get in the weeds with that just because now we're getting into high-level database management stuff that's just not conducive for a large environment like this.
Jeff asked, where do you get the code to be provided to the church to join the app? Again, that's in Church Connect. Go to Connect Settings, and then select that Share the Connect App option. And the code is to the right of the QR code, that big black box, or that black rectangle to the right. That's your code. It's a 6-digit or 6-character code. That's what you're sharing with your members for that. Trevor asked, is it unlimited push notifications or messaging? Yeah, there's no limit to the number of push notifications you can send out to your people.
But with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
So please don't send more than like 3 or 4 push notifications to your people, because they will all opt out or just start ignoring them, and then that defeats the purpose.
All right, Salem Bible Church asked, will the invites for volunteers that I send out through worship and scheduling still go out through email, or will they become push notifications? No, they will still go out through that preferred method, email, texting, or both. It actually doesn't show up as push notifications. It just shows up in the events screen, that events tab in Church Connect. So it's not gonna show up that way. All right, Jerry, how do I add the outline to a Sunday service event? That's done in the worship and scheduling feature. You have to add the outline to that event there, and then that shows up when you send out the invites for people to serve in their event screen.
Oh, Jana, you say you have the app, but it logs you out most times and you close it. Are you on the old app? Because there's a solid chance you are. The new app doesn't do that.
Okay. Mayor Bridges, does the app allow pulling of financial reports so the elders and deacons can pull info from phones to answer questions instead of, no.
Not at this time.
Yeah, not at this time. Leslie, we've now opted to use ChurchTrac Giving now as a second option for our folks, but one thing we noticed was even when we disabled giving in the app, a give button was still showing on videos under media. Is it possible to edit the buttons? I don't know what you mean by under media in the app. But you will still have that giving button at the bottom toolbar, even if you disable online giving, because that'll then take members to their giving history. But again, that giving history is only going to show what's been recorded by online giving and what you've manually recorded on the giving screen in ChurchTrac. So other online giving platforms, you're going to have to manually record that on the giving screen.
Pam has such a great response here. I'm late here getting here because it went to my spam.
Oh, no.
So the reminder, will I be able to watch this live stream later? Yes, you will. In fact, as soon as we're done today, it's going to be immediately available on YouTube. And then we will be posting this just a cleaned up version, probably minus all the Q&A on YouTube. A few days later, Pam, whenever we sent out that email, one of the messages we said is check your spam folder for everything, because that is occasionally a challenge, not only for churches, but for us too.
Yes.
So Matt, a lot of good questions there.
Great
we answered
questions.
them all. I think really the next step for all the church leaders here today is to just dive in, start playing around with the app, getting very familiar with it. So not only they know how to use it well, but then they're ready to teach their people how to use it well, and then get their entire church on board with it.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date. This live stream will be on the YouTube channel soon, so that you can rewatch this, especially for you, Pamela, who got in late. Yes, you can watch that later. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, join that Facebook group, that private group of other ChurchTrac users. We would love to see you there so that you can be a part of a growing community and get your questions answered there as well. Also, reach out to the support team with any questions that you have anytime. We are here to serve you so that we can together build the body of Christ. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a blessed day.